Good morning, everyone. My name is Derek, and I'm going to talk largely about the course design that was used for the training and professional support for journalists in the Southern African region. We've called it the Oxpeckers Professional Support and Training Platform, and its real aim there are a number of aims under the project, but the particular aim that I'd like to focus on was really how have we improved the abilities of journalists to report on wildlife crime. The footprint there really was we drew on the Southern African region because that was the attempt is to look more regionally and see how we can move beyond borders. Countries that we engaged were Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, South Africa, and Mozambique. And then also we had interested people from Asia, Southeast Asia, Europe attending some of the sessions. And then to the right, you will see the 5 participants that were selected as the data journalists who went through the intensive in-depth program. In terms of what we tried to achieve, we really focused on the knowledge that is required for these journalists to do a particular job. We then took that to the skills development level, and then also try to understand how do those skills fit into a broader scheme of practices so that we could develop more effective and efficient practice in the region. So just in terms of the design, it wasn't focusing on what I can't do and then trying to upscale people. It was really a focus there, as you see in the central band, is what I can do, but with help. So we were really looking at people who were already operating as journalists, who had an interest in wildlife crime, but were not always entirely confident and maybe didn't have all the right skills to progress a little further. So that's really where we focused. It's the what I can do group was obviously not something that was a particular focus of where we were going. In terms of the further into the in-depth mentorship program, you see the triangle with mentorship in the middle. And then to the right, you see pictures of our 5 mentors that we drew into the program. And these were specifically journalists with experience in the region who were doing investigative journalism, who had an understanding of many of the challenges and also the solutions to some of those problems. So they were available as mentors to our group that had signed up for the particular program. Further to the triangle, you see on the bottom left foundation is the importance of knowledge and skills and the ability to apply those skills. So that was a big focus. And then to the right, the other foundational part of the triangle were working with particular tools that these journalists could use to act more effectively and efficiently. And Wild Eye Southern Africa was a tool which was being prepared and being launched during the course of the particular project. The whole idea is that this works towards the overarching long-term goal of developing quality data-driven stories for combating wildlife crime. In terms of the in-depth professional support and training, quite simply put, there were various elements to it. There were 4 modules with a standard format, and those were conducted over 5 months. There was always a workaway professional task that required some sort of action learning, which meant that the wranglers or the data journalists would have to go out and do particular things. They had data collection targets set for them. They had to go and use the law to access information. They had to do the Ivuka Learn course, and they had to do analysis of their particular data sets as well as visualize it for storytelling. And then worth noting here are the 4 themes that structured the learning. There were 4 modules. Module 1 was enhancing investigative environmental journalism with data, so a big focus on data. Module 2 was using the law to access wildlife crime data through and for combating wildlife crime stories. Module 3, tools of the trade, in other words, using digital tools and the like to improve effectiveness. And then module 4 was largely about working together, which was a community of practice so that we could operate more effective regionally. And then Of course, there you see we recognizing the efforts that these individuals made through providing them with a certificate of recognition at the end of the program. We really are talking about data journalism, and sometimes we call them data wranglers, but data journalists literally it's a practice which is not the same as investigative journalism. It has particular elements to it which really focus on data and managing data so that you've got a certain level of quality data available to tell stories that can be verified and can be presented with confidence. So I've just broken it down for you so you can understand when we go through the morning that we've got certain aspects that make up the whole practice of data journalism and putting together stories on the basis of good data. So first of all, it's getting the data, and it's usually the hard work, climbing the mountain of finding the data, getting access to it, which turns out to be a very, very difficult part of the whole initial process. And then part of that is also involved in accessing, paying for the data, getting open access data or scraping the internet, assessing whether there are rights of access to it. Is it protected? Is there access denied? Is the data in a state where it can be used? Is it cleaned? And then various tools that one can use to do these things, as well as creating a sense of data literacy, is understanding what are these numbers and figures telling me? Where do they fit into the bigger picture? The next stage of that goes into understanding that data. So putting pieces of the puzzle together. Are there patterns? Are there particular trends? Are there stories that can be told from a particular data set? And that once that's been done, and again, a different set of skills and maybe even different people involved, once one's progressed through that, one goes to the delivering the data aspect of that practice, which is trying to combine the data with a story, interviewing people, looking at what the data says and how do people feel about it, using many different data-driven applications like WildEye, and then visualizing that data in order to prepare for a particular audience. Is that a decision maker? Is it the community, to mobilize them against something, whatever it might be? And then also it could be various government departments who need to respond in terms of non-compliance and the like. Lastly, what are the products one can expect from this particular program? There you have it. There's the logo. There's WildEye Southern Africa will be launched today, and that's a big product that we're extremely proud to put out there for data journalists to be able to use. There's a toolbox for data journalists, which is like lots of tips and tools for people trying to set themselves up as data journalists or to refine their practices. We will have learning narratives, which will track our 5 data journalists in terms of their learnings, what they found as hard, difficult challenges, and what was, an important lesson for them along the way. There are detailed data sets that are going to be used to populate the particular WildEye Southern Africa tool, and that will be evident when you visit that particular website. And we also have the course curriculum and its content, which of course we've now been through over the 5-6 month period. And then lastly, we now have a community of 5 practitioners plus all the supporters who really represent a skills development in the region, and we do congratulate them on a very fine effort and having to have done some very arduous and difficult tasks to get this far. So from our side, we say well done and thank you very much.